Well, welcome this morning to all of you who remembered to set your clocks forward. Nicely done. We did it. We all did it. Is anybody feeling that hour loss already? Anybody? Okay. Me too. This morning I was like, what if we cancel church? What if we just didn't have it? What's the big deal? There's plenty of churches in San Marcos. My name is Dominic. I'm the leader of the Heart. I'm so grateful you're here this morning. Make sure you tell everybody who's not here to check out the podcast because we have a message today that it's part of our Yours message series, and it's going to be all about community. All about your community, about our community. If you haven't been here before or you missed this message series, I want to tell you that yours and ours, if you'll notice, ours is baked into yours. Ours is part of yours. Also in the word for sure, but also in our community. In the way we serve one another, the way we're there for one another, and the way we're in this mess called life together. Now, before we get into the message, I want to tell you about something that's happening. You probably know it. Easter is coming up in April 12th. And I want you to be thinking about something. Next week, we're going to have some resources for you around Easter. We're going to start a brand new message series on Easter Sunday. And what I want to challenge you to do is before you start making plans to go visit somewhere else for Easter. A lot of times we go visit where our parents are, and we get together with family, and I don't want you to not see family for Easter. But what I want to challenge you to do is wait until after Easter, after church Sunday morning. Or I want you to go visit your family before, and then for church on Sunday morning, I want to challenge you to invite people around you that don't go to church, that don't know God, that are looking for something. Because here's the thing, is there's some of you who you've come to the Heart before, or you've experienced church before, and it has impacted you in a real way. It has impacted the way you live your life, the way you communicate with the people around you, the way that you communicate with God. And what I want to challenge you to do is, if it has impacted you, use Easter Sunday as a way to invite the people around you to come and experience that for themselves. Because you and I know that church is so much bigger than Sunday morning, right? We're together for about an hour, and I don't see most of you for the rest of the week. But you have a lot of life that you're living. And we need community. We need people around us who can love us and support us. But what's cool about Sunday mornings is we get a chance to all kind of gather, and we align our hearts and minds, and we have an encouraging message, hopefully, on a Sunday morning that can carry you throughout the week and give you something to think about and something to apply in your life. And that's what we have a chance to give people who have never experienced that before. So I just want you to be thinking about it as Easter Sunday is coming up here in about 5 weeks, is who can you invite? Maybe you can tell your parents, look, I'm going to be there for Easter Sunday, but it's going to be after church. Or I'm going to come down Friday and leave Saturday because I got to be back for Easter Sunday at my church at the Heart, so I can invite some people to come experience community, to come experience God. So that's something I want to just put in your brain. We'll have some more resources for you in the coming weeks, but I want you to be thinking about that. Now, today is week 4 of our message series, Yours. And we're actually going to add another week. That's kind of our thing around here, is we say it's a 4-week series, but that means nothing to us. We could have 5, 6, 7 weeks. We could do this for the rest of the year. So we're going to add one more week next week. But today what we're going to be talking about is community. Your community. Our community. And as I was thinking about this week, I started to think, what are some communities that I'm involved in? Because something we've talked about, if you haven't been here, is community. It's bigger than just church. When I say community, I don't mean your church community. Because I know and you know there are so many different things that you're a part of outside of church, outside of the Heart. The people that we work with, that's a community that we're involved in, right? The people that, maybe some of you are students, the people you go to school with in your classes. Maybe you're in a few social clubs at school. These are different communities that we are a part of. But see, here's what I want us to be thinking about today, is there's some communities that you visit, that you go to, but you're not quite a part of those communities yet. Because something's different, isn't it? Something's different when you just go to work, do your job, clock out, and go home. Something happens when we go to work and we start to become friends with some of the people that we work with. And maybe some of you don't like to be friends with the people you work with. That's okay, I get it. We all know who you are. But something happens, something's different when we choose to step into the community that's around us. Long time ago, I thought, I'm going to get in shape. And I wanted to look for a gym, so I went to Gold's Gym. And nothing's wrong with Gold's. Gold's is great. But I would just go play basketball, and I wouldn't talk to anybody. I'd have my headphones in, all that kind of stuff. And I wanted a little bit more, something. And so somebody told me about CrossFit. And so I thought, well, I'll go check out CrossFit. There was this CrossFit here in town. It was the only one in town at the time called CrossFit San Marcos, old school. And so I went to go, and we talked to, my wife and I went, and we talked to one of the coaches there, and they did a little onboarding, little training, and can you squat? And we're like, yeah, I think so. You know. Can you hold this bar? And we're like, yeah, I think so. I think we got the hang of this. I think we're pretty much going to be in the CrossFit games here next summer. And so we would go work out there, and they had it classes, and I really liked the classes. I liked it. Everybody showed up at one time. We all did the same thing, the same workout, whatever it was. And I really liked that everyone was together, but something was still missing. It wasn't until I did a little bit more. It wasn't until I said, okay, it was a younger, a kind of a younger group, not real young. Matt was there, so most of the people were younger. Matt brought the average age up a little bit. I'll use that for the 11 o'clock too, just so everybody knows. And so they would have little events, or they were going to go bowling, or they were going to go do something together, and I thought, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm looking for, because when we moved to San Marcos, my wife and I moved to San Marcos 13 years ago, we didn't really know anybody in San Marcos. We would constantly go back to New Braunfels to go to dinner, and we'd go visit our friends in New Braunfels, and we wanted to kind of take steps in the city that we were living in the community that we were in. And like I said, maybe some of you, the people that you work with, you haven't really made the opportunity to get to know them a little bit. Maybe the people at your gym, the people that you work out with, the people you go to school with. Maybe you haven't made steps to get to know them, to be a part. Maybe the people around you, the people that live in the apartments around you, the people that live in the homes around you, your neighbors. Have we made the opportunity to get to know the people around us? There's a big difference between living somewhere and calling somewhere your home. And so there's a story that I want to talk about today. It's actually from the Old Testament. If you don't read the Bible a lot, the Old Testament, that was before Jesus showed up. And there's a story I want to tell you about a woman named Ruth. Some of you might be familiar with her, but if you're not, it's okay. I'm going to give you the gist. There was a woman named Ruth, and she was not from Israel, okay? She was from a place called Moab. But she married a man from Israel, and that man died. It's very sad. The story doesn't give it that much time. It's so quick, you never even got a chance to know him. And so what happens? What happens is her mother-in-law says it's not good for young widows who aren't from Israel to be in Israel. So why don't you go back to where you came from? It'll be easier for you in Moab. It'll be easier for you to go back where you came from. It'll be difficult for you to be a widow in Israel. And this is at the very beginning of the story. And I'm going to read this in the Message. I don't have this part up, but in the Message, I absolutely love how the book of Ruth starts. It starts with 4 words. Guess what they are? Once upon a time. What a great way to start a story. Once upon a time, it's telling the story of Ruth, and her mother-in-law's name is Naomi. And Naomi's husband died too. That's the way things go, I guess. That's the way things go in Israel, apparently. Naomi's husband died. Ruth's husband died. So Naomi is going to go back. She's going to go back to where she came from in Israel. She tells Ruth, go back to Moab. Go back to where you came from. And watch what Ruth says. This is Ruth 1, verses 16 and 17. This is in the Message. She said, don't force me to leave you. Okay, because right before that, Naomi said, look, your sister-in-law is going to go back home to live with her own people, and her own gods go with her. Watch what Ruth says. Ruth says, don't force me to leave you. Don't make me go home. Where you go, I go. Where you live, I'll live. Your people will be my people, and your God is my God. Where you die, I'll die, and that's where I'll be buried, so help me God. Not even death itself is going to come between us. It got a little serious there at the end, for sure. A little heavy. Ruth went a little heavy on the dying. But watch the theme. Watch what she's trying to tell Naomi. Watch this. I want your people to be my people. I am loyal to you. This is a choice that Ruth is making. We talk about choice a lot at the heart of one of our core values. This is a choice that Ruth is making. In fact, she is encouraged to not. She's encouraged to go back. And Ruth says, no, I'm choosing to go with you. I want to be with you. You are now home. You are now my community. When you choose community, when you choose to be a part of a community, your definition of home changes. Your definition of what home is changes from a place that you live into a people that you are a part of. I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget to tell you. Real community can make the difference between where you live and where you call home. Real community can make the difference between where you live and where you call home. Where do you call home? Where do you experience real community? For some of us, we call home where we grew up. That's what we're used to calling it. That's okay. Today, I want to challenge what our thinking is, what your thinking is on what you call home, on where you call home, on who you call your people. This book of Ruth, I want to invite you to read it when you go home today. It's very short. It won't take you more than 10 minutes to read the whole story, the whole Once Upon a Time of Ruth. Because what happens is she ends up going with Naomi. They end up going back, and Ruth meets a man. It's a real love story. It's a real romantic comedy. She meets a man, and the man marries her. That's a big spoiler alert at the end of this, so maybe you don't have to read it. But she meets a man, and the beginning of the story starts with death and tragedy. But it walks through the story of someone, Ruth, of someone who chooses community, who chooses to be a part of something that she doesn't need to be. But it's a story of incredible things that happen because someone chooses to be a part. So who is your community? Who do you call your people? I think for a lot of us, it's difficult to step into community. It's easy to talk about, it's difficult to do. Kids are so good at it. Small little kids, they're so good. Because they don't know that it's awkward to just walk up to a group. I've seen my nephew do this. There's a group of kids hanging out and they're laughing and they're having fun and they're obviously a group, and my nephew will just walk up right next to them and just stand. And he'll just stand there until he's acknowledged. Can you imagine how awkward you would be if you did that? Hey, you want to make friends when you're older? Here's what you do. You see a group of people having a good time? Just stand right next to them. Psycho. They would call the cops on you. But kids are so good at that, though, right? They say, hey, do you want to be friends? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Anybody in your 20s? Raise your hand. 30s, raise your hand. Or 30s and up, sorry. Can you imagine how crazy you would sound if you just walked up to somebody and say, hey, would you like to be friends? People would be like, no. That's how that would go. Why don't you follow me on Instagram first like a normal person? Who do you call your community? I want you to be thinking about that. The people around you, the people you work with, people you go to school with, the people you live around. Some of your children are in sports or in dance or whatever it is. What about the other parents around you? Are you connecting with those people? What could happen? What would happen if you chose to take a step into that? I also wrote this down. Get ready. Your words can turn your home into our community. Just the way you talk about where you live. I don't like to give people a hard time. I do, I guess. But when people tell me, when students who go to Texas State, they tell me, I'm going back home for the summer. I always tell them, do you mean you're going back home to your parents' house? Because this is where you live. I want to put it in their minds that this can be home too. Home is not necessarily where you park your car. Home is not necessarily where you lay your head down at night. Home is the people around you who love you and support you. And that's not just where you were born. It's not just where you came from. It is your choice. It's your choice to step into that, to be a part of that, to make that step. Now, in the rest of this story of Ruth, Naomi, she's the mother-in-law. She's upset. She's bitter at what happened. She's angry at what has happened. Because she had a husband and 2 sons, and her husband died, and then her 2 sons died. And it was bad for women back then to not have a man around to protect them. It was not good. It was very much male-driven. So it wasn't good. And she was angry and she was bitter. In fact, she told Ruth to start calling her bitter. She wanted to change her name to bitter. But Ruth wouldn't do it. In fact, the rest of the story tells us it's not Ruth calling Naomi bitter, giving in to these problems that she's having. See, that's what community does. Community can remind you. Community can remind you of who you are when life gets messy. But you have to choose community. You have to have people around you. Because if we don't have people around us, if we don't have people around us that we can trust, if we don't have people around us that trust us, then when life gets messy, life gets crazy, and it will, there will be problems. I'm not speaking that over your life. But I am telling you, and I'm sure you've seen it, you're probably in the middle of something right now, or you just came out of something where it was a mess. Something with your health, something with your finances, something with the relationships in your life. If we have community around us, they can remind us of who we really are. See, Ruth never called Naomi her new name bitter, because that wasn't who she was. We have things that will happen to us, but that's not who we are. And we need people around us to remind us of who we are. This weekend, we had an opportunity to serve our community, to reach out into our community and be a part of what is going on. See, a few months ago, we had our Waymaker offering, and one of the organizations we were able to partner with and give some finances to was the Southside Community Center. And our fearless HC youth leader, Michaela Glover, she leads our youth group here at the Heart. She and this amazing team, they did, bless their hearts, I'm going to tell you what happened. On Friday, they had a camp out. Guess how much they slept? I'm sure you can guess. No sleep. And then off of no sleep, they had a great idea of going to serve dinner to people that come to the Southside Community Center, a lot of them homeless. Bless their hearts. But they didn't want to miss this opportunity. And we have a video that we want to show you of some of the people that were there to serve, kind of why they choose to step out into their community. So let's draw our attention to the screen and check this out.
My name is Corbin Insenius, and I've lived in San Marcos my whole life.
My name is Quinlan Hanrahan. I moved to San Marcos a year and a half ago.
Well, I'm Scott, and this is Abby. lived here for 16 years.
I choose to volunteer because it's good for the mind, body, and spirit. It takes the focus off of us and any issues that we may be going through, and it allows us to help other people in our community that have it way more difficult than we do.
I think for me the easiest way to get involved into a community is to put yourself in situations that you can grow your community around you.
I think it's important to get involved in the community that you live in, to plant roots and to really grow in community. Life's pretty boring, just like going back and from like work and school or whatever. And I think that the way that you grow is by investing in community, which is why I love getting involved in the Heart as well as like other communities in San Marcos.
I would say it's all about being social with people.
I think for me the biggest thing about being part of a community is having a good support system around you and having a group of people who can really like be there for you in your time of need.
I would say to get involved in your community, just find something that you're passionate about and pursue it. I love being creative, and I also love hanging out with like different groups of kids, and so I think just find a place where you feel like you belong and you really enjoy spending time, and then it becomes easy to volunteer because you're just investing in other people.
So cool. That was, that wasn't just our youth. A lot of you, I think, were out there. There was a lot of people out there to serve our community. It's such a great opportunity to be a part of where we live. Our community, your community, when you start saying that, it's kind of been the theme over these last couple of weeks, is when you talk to people about the Heart. Let's say you're going to invite somebody to the Heart. Don't say they, say our church. Don't talk about the Heart as if it's not yours, because it is. One of the things we say around here is you belong here before you believe. You belong here before you believe what we believe. Belonging is the beginning of your journey at the Heart, not something you earn along the way, and it has to be that same way for community. Community is the root system. Community will help you be planted where you live. That's what happens when you step out into community. Now it's not just a place where your house is. Now it's not just a place where you work. Now it's not just a place where you go to school. Now it is your city. Now it's your community. Now it's your local coffee shop. Right? Now it's your local pizza place. I'm big on, I'm not going to preach this at you, even though I'm in the middle of exactly doing that. I'm big on shopping local, right? Supporting local restaurants, local places. And I'm not saying that you need to do that, but I want to encourage you to do that. That is one way that you choose to be a part of your community. I understand if you had to save money, budget, blah, blah, blah. But if it's always something we consider, then we can make a choice to do it when it's there. You know, years ago when I was choosing to get into CrossFit, to try doing that, I would start to go to some of the events they had, and I felt weird. You know, everybody was 20 years old, and I was not. And, you know, sometimes we hear that at the Heart too. I'll hear from people that, oh, there's a lot of young people there. I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I want to be the oldest person in the room. And I understand what that feels like. You know, that's what was kind of difficult to get involved with this group at CrossFit. Everybody seemed like they were so much fun and having such a good time, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna walk up and stand next to this crowd of people. You know, kind of swing my arms and wait for somebody to talk to me. Dom, did you need something? Huh? No. Just here for the win. And I'm so grateful that I stepped out into that, because watch what happened from this. From stepping out into this community in CrossFit, years later when we would talk about starting the heart, starting a community, starting a place where people like yourself, who maybe had been burned by church, maybe had been hurt by church people, maybe didn't know how to take steps in your faith, and you just needed a safe place to have doubts, to have questions, to take small steps, to just be where you are on your journey of faith. This is something that was in our hearts and in our brains years and years ago. And I'm so grateful that I made the step to step into this community of CrossFit, because a lot of those people from that community came and joined our team. Some of our greatest friends have come from these small steps. I didn't work with them. I didn't go to school with them. I didn't grow up with them. But I chose to step into community. And from that step, it started roots planted into this city. And now, because I see the value of community, now because I see it so clearly, now I feel like I'm a little bit too much in this, but I tell people, hey, cancel your plans. Quit school. Stop going to college. Stay here. Stay in San Marcos. I don't know how students' parents feel about that, but that is the advice I give. One of our dear friends, Julia Hutcherson, if you don't know her, she's in Australia right now. She was going to graduate from Texas State and move to California to pursue dance. And I was like, hey, what would you consider canceling all those plans and staying here in San Marcos? And she was like, yeah, I think I'll do that. And then she went to Australia. But that's different. That's a terrible example. Now, she went to Australia to pursue dance and to go to Hillsong College. It's a Christian college in Australia. And then afterwards, she wants to come back to San Marcos. I believe in what God is doing in this community. And I believe what God can do in you and through you when you make this community yours. And I don't mean this community as in San Marcos. If you don't live in San Marcos, that's okay. And I don't mean make this your community as in the church. The heart is one of your communities. This is one aspect where you can experience community. But I do know that in this community you can experience freedom. I do know in this community you can have people around you who are willing to be vulnerable, willing to share in life with you. That's what I want for you. I want you to be able to be around people who will support you in your life. Not perfect people, not people who have it all together, not people who will never let you down, but people who will make the continuous choice to be there even when it's difficult, even when you're bitter, even when we're bitter. What could happen if we were like Ruth? What could happen if our story started with once upon a time we chose community? Once upon a time, I chose to go next door to someone I've been living next to for years. I'd never met them before. What could happen if you made a small step into community? We're starting something this spring called HC Impact, and we want you to be able to be a part of it, at least get some information on it. So we're going to have this super slick QR code. I want you to get your phones out right now. Get your phones out. Most of your phones, I don't know how Androids work with this. Most of your phones, if you pointed at this with your camera, you'll be able to get a link. You'll get information on how to participate in this community. And I don't mean the heart. I don't want to be just another church that keeps pointing people back to us. I want to be able to be a group of people that cares for the people in this city, in this community around us. Not just the people that go to church. Because there's people that we can impact their life whether they know God or not. There's people we can impact their life whether they ever come to church with us or not. That's not the people we care about. We don't just care about people that come to church with us. We care about people around us. So with this, you'll be able to get some more information. You'll be able to go to the website. There's a Facebook group you can sign up for. You can have updates on when we have opportunities to get involved in our community. So I want to challenge you to take a step into that this week, to sign up, to ask questions, to get ready to be a part of our next impact that we're going to have in our city and our community. If you could, bow your heads for a moment and close your eyes. I'm going to pray for us this morning. God, we are so grateful. We're grateful to have a community around us who can love us, support us, be there for us when we need help, when we need love, when we need grace, when we need mercy, and when we need hope. God, I pray that we could be that miracle for the people around us. We could be that hope for the people around us. I pray that we would be bold and step into that this week. That we would look for opportunities to step into community. We thank you for that today, and we pray that in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Isn't she great? She was so fun to talk to. She's 21 years old, and I called her, and I was like, Autumn, you were my first choice, so I need you to say yes. I need you to choose to say yes now. That's what I said. I wanted to talk to her because she gives consistently, and that just first of all, it blows my mind, because when I was 21, I was not thinking about how I could responsibly use my money for something that is greater than myself. Not interested. It was more self-serving. And actually what she talked about in this video a little bit is that when she first started giving, some of the things that she was taught when she was younger, and some of the things she thought is that when she first started to give, she thought, this is going to be good for me. Giving blesses me, and I want to see how that works. I want to see what that looks like. And I just I told her so. I so much appreciated her honesty of being able to try it and let it grow her. To try it for one reason, and her being able to step into it and choose to do it and trust more and more, now her reasons for giving have shifted. Her reasons for doing that, her trust for God, her trust what God is doing with her finances, with her life, with her faith, has grown over the time simply by giving. This is something that was taught to her, and that's really what I want to do, because there's some of you in here that maybe you haven't been taught that giving can be a choice, that giving can be a step for your faith. Some of us growing up, this is for myself, if you're like me, some of us growing up, we were taught that giving was your responsibility, that giving financially was your obligation, that giving financially was something you were supposed to do. I want to finish my story that I was telling you earlier. When I gave this $20 to this youth leader, I started to volunteer. I was like, maybe I'll serve here at the church. I didn't really know what all that meant, but it's like, you guys need help around here? I'll help, move chairs around or set up for stuff, whatever you need. And the more I would be part of this community, I would invite my friends and family to come to church with me, because the community started to become mine. At first, when I started going, it was theirs, but then it became mine. I wasn't inviting people to a church. I was inviting people to my church. I was inviting people to be a part of a community. I was inviting people to be part of my community. I eventually, at this same church, I would meet more and more people, and I found out they were doing these classes where you could dig deeper into the Bible and learn more about that kind of thing, and I was like, anything I could take. I need to learn more and do more, whatever it is. And it was at these classes, they had a little time before one of the classes where, like, the guy teaching the class, he was like, I'm going to have my daughter come play the guitar and sing for you guys. This is at the same church that I gave my first $20. I'm going to have my daughter come and sing for you guys. And I was like, whoa. You know what I mean? Whoa. I mean, it was Amber, so the story's safe. The guy teaching that class is now my father-in-law. And who knows where I would be if I hadn't taken this first step, eventually made this community mine. Who knows, maybe your wife or husband is sitting in this room. And if you're married, they already are. Simply because I chose to make that community mine. It's a step you can take. There's something special that happens when you choose to give. There's something special that happens when you choose to give. It is an investment that you make in your faith. It's an investment that you make in your trust with God. And I want to invite you to do that today. I have a challenge for you today. It's just a 90-day challenge. 90 days, 3 months. And here's what I want you to do for this 90-day challenge. For 90 days, I want to challenge you to give consistently. Not every day, not every week. It can be every week or every month or twice a month, whatever it is, you choose. And the amount, I don't need it to be 10%. Choose the amount. Make it $1 a week. It doesn't matter to me. The amount doesn't matter. It's the step of faith that you can take. And then I want you to tell us your story. I want to know how your faith grew through the simple act of giving financially. I know sometimes it doesn't make sense that finances can be connected to faith. And they're not. But you know what finances does do? It takes something that is ours, and when we release it, it opens up our heart. When we release it, it changes the way we look at it. So I want to challenge you with that today. Now I want you to close your eyes for a moment and bow your heads. And with every eye closed and your heads bowed, I'm going to ask you today if you're willing to accept that challenge. So I don't want anyone looking around. I want this to be for you in your heart. Are you willing to accept that challenge today? To accept that challenge and take a step in your faith? To choose to give. To see what it can do in your faith, in your life, in your relationship with God, in your trust. If you're willing to take that challenge, then on the count of 3, I want you to raise your hand and keep it there just for a moment so I can see it. If you're ready to do it, let's do it. 1, 2, 3. Put your hand up and leave it there. Put your hand up and leave it there. Okay, put your hands down. Put your hands down. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to pray. God, we are so grateful to have the chance to do this with you and for you. God, I pray that as we take these steps of faith, that you would give us the strength we need, the courage we need, the boldness that we need. God, I pray that we wouldn't let the amount stop us from seeing how far we can go in you, how far we can go with our trust for you, how far we can go with our faith in you. I pray for all of those that are ready to take this step, that they would have the grace and the mercy and hope that they need to carry them. I'm grateful for those that are giving. I'm grateful for those that are not giving. I'm grateful for everyone that you put in front of us, God, that we're able to love and show honor and grace and mercy no matter where they are on their journey of faith. We love you and we pray that in Jesus' name. Amen.
I'm so grateful that you have made us part of your journey of faith today. We have a saying here at The Heart that you don't have to go to church here to go to church here. That means whether you come every Sunday or you watch one of these videos every now and then online, you're still part of what God is doing here in the city of San Marcos through The Heart. For more information about what God is doing here, you can visit us online at www.theheart.church. Big things can happen in your life when you expect God to move. So I have hope and I pray that this message today can and will shape your faith and your future.